Coming up on Arirang News. North Korea this morning launched what appears to have been an intercontinental ballistic missile toward waters off its east coast, just hours after firing a short-range one the night before. President Yoon orders an immediate, overwhelming response against provocations by the North and pushes for a joint response with the U.S. and Japan in the form of sharing information on North Korean missiles in real time. The Israeli army says it has discovered the biggest Hamas tunnel in the Gaza Strip. The 4-kilometer-long tunnel appears to have been designed to carry carloads of Hamas troops from Gaza to the border with Israel. Good evening, it's 9 p.m. here in Seoul. Thank you for joining us on Arirang News. This is Peunji filling in for Ji-young. We begin with a new round of provocations by North Korea. The North launched an ICBM this morning in the space of less than 12 hours, after firing a short-range missile last night. This comes after South Korea and U.S. officials held talks in Washington over the weekend on how to respond to Pyongyang's nuclear threat together. At about 8:30 a.m. on Monday morning, North Korea launched what appeared to be an intercontinental ballistic missile toward waters off its east coast. The South Korean military said it was launched from an area near Pyongyang at a high angle and flew about 1,000 kilometers before landing in the East Sea. It said South Korea, the U.S., and Japan had been maintaining full defense readiness, and added that warning data on the latest missile was shared between the three countries. This marks the North's 5th ICBM launch this year, the highest number in a single year. It last tested an ICBM less than 6 months ago, the second test of a solid-fuel Hwasong-18 in July, after conducting the first in April. The South Korean military reportedly believes Monday's missile could have been another test launch of the North's Hwasong-18. Japan's defense ministry also said the latest missile's flight time and trajectory is similar to that of the solid-fuel Hwasong-18 ICBM launched in July. It added that if it was fired on a normal trajectory instead of a high angle, it could have flown more than 15,000 kilometers, long enough to strike the U.S. mainland. Monday's launch came less than 12 hours after the North fired a short-range ballistic missile the night before. Launched at about 10:30 p.m. on Sunday night, it flew about 570 kilometers before falling into the East Sea. North Korea's consecutive missile launches appear to be an apparent protest against the Second Nuclear Consultative Group, or NCG, meeting held in Washington, where South Korea and the U.S. officials agreed to conduct nuclear operation exercises in next year's joint military training to deter Pyongyang's nuclear and missile threats. The North Korean Defense Ministry earlier on Sunday strongly criticized the outcome of this meeting, saying this is yet another sign of efforts to streamline war planning and a threat of a potential nuclear weapons attack against the regime. In response to North Korea's threats, President Yoon has called for immediate action and highlights the need for a proactive joint response with the U.S. and Japan. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung has more.
President Yoon has ordered an immediate, overwhelming response against North Korea's latest missile provocation. During an emergency meeting of the National Security Council presided over by National Security Advisor Cho Tae-yong on Monday, Yoon demanded that South Korea pushes for a proactive joint response with the U.S. and Japan by utilizing the real-time information sharing system for North Korean missiles. The three countries had agreed on a trilateral real-time system at the Camp David summit in August, with aims of boosting trilateral security cooperation against evolving North Korean threats starting from the end of 2023. Meanwhile, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff on Monday strongly condemned North Korea's ICBM launch and urged the regime to stop its, quote, reckless provocative actions immediately.
Despite repeated warnings from our military, North Korea continues to carry out threatening provocations. We once again sternly warn North Korea that it is solely responsible for all subsequent events.
The national security advisors of South Korea, the U.S., and Japan also condemned the ICBM launch during phone talks and discussed joint response measures. South Korea's presidential office said that the three underscored the importance of strengthening security cooperation through sharing missile warning data. The White House echoed those sentiments and called the test a flagrant violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions. A U.S. State Department spokesperson also reportedly criticized the ballistic missile launches, saying that they violate multiple UNSC resolutions. Choi Min-dong, Arirang News.
Prior to North Korea's ballistic missile launches, Seoul and Washington agreed to bolster their nuclear contingency strategies and include nuclear operation scenarios in their joint defense drills next year. Our senior correspondent Oh Soo-young has details.
Seoul and Washington will launch joint nuclear defense drills for the first time next year, and along with Japan, take a trilateral response to North Korea's growing nuclear and missile threat to the Indo-Pacific region. That's according to Kim Tae-ho, Deputy Principal National Security Advisor, following the second South Korea-US Nuclear Consultative Group meeting in Washington held Friday. In a press conference following the meeting, Kim said next year's ROK-US joint exercises, such as Uchi Freedom Shield in August, will involve training on nuclear operations based on various scenarios, aligning how the allies think, prepare, practice and execute nuclear operations together from the very beginning. This could involve practicing a US-led retaliation with nuclear weapons as a response to a nuclear strike by North Korea, marking an unprecedented first for the allies' theatre-level combined drills. According to Kim, guidelines on planning and operating a joint nuclear strategy will be complete by mid-2024, consolidating the sharing of sensitive nuclear data, nuclear consultation procedures during times of crisis, and a real-time leader-level communication channel. Such steps would, quote, determine how to deter and respond to North Korea's threats. The NCG was formed earlier this year under the Washington Declaration signed by Presidents Yoon and Joe Biden, establishing what Seoul has declared as a nuclear-based alliance to ensure and better coordinate America's extended deterrence policy of protecting its allies from conventional or nuclear attack. According to the joint statement issued after the meeting, officials from both sides acknowledged the progress made since the first NCG session in July, in talks regarding guidelines, information protocols, along with nuclear consultation procedures and nuclear and strategic planning. Officials also commended the holding of an immersive training course in October for South Korean personnel, deemed by observers as a significant move to scale up Seoul's capacity for effective coordination on extended nuclear deterrence. The US will provide another in-depth course next year. Kim, before the meeting, had warned of a possible intercontinental ballistic missile launch by Pyongyang this month, remarking that the North has rejected diplomacy, which the South, in contrast, has never given up as an option. Strengthening deterrence is the pertinent course of action for Seoul for the time being. He added that if North Korea's provocations continue, necessary measures between South Korea and the US and trilaterally with Japan may well be prepared. The third NCG meeting will be held in South Korea next summer. Oh Soo-young, Arirang News.
On the local political front, current chief trade negotiator An Deok-gun was named as the Minister for Trade, Industry and Energy in the latest cabinet reshuffle ahead of next April's general election. And there could soon be a major reshuffle at diplomatic and national security posts. Our top office correspondent Kim Do-yeon explains.
President Yoon Suk-yeol has nominated current Trade Minister An Deok-gun as the Minister for Trade, Industry and Energy. The announcement came on Sunday amid a cabinet reshuffle in recent weeks, with incumbent ministers and top secretaries leaving their posts to run for parliament next April. Prior to becoming Trade Minister, An was a professor at Graduate School of International Studies at Seoul National University. He was also involved in multiple South Korean trade negotiations.
The candidate is an expert in international trade, well-versed in both theory and practice, and currently serves as the Minister for Trade. He is demonstrating outstanding capabilities in meticulously addressing a variety of trade issues.
An also acknowledged that he understands industry in South Korea well, while also acknowledging the current fast-changing global environment.
I'll leverage the global network I have established as the nation's top trade representative to communicate more closely with businesses. I will do my utmost to ensure that our companies can lead innovation and grow dynamically in the global market.
The nomination comes just 3 months after incumbent Minister Bang Moon-gyu took up the post, as Bang will likely be running for parliament in general elections in April. Justice Minister Han Dong-un, a key man in the Yoon administration and a close confidant of the president, is also getting attention amid public calls for him to jump into politics as a deadline for a decision draws near. All public officials need to resign from their posts before January 11th under the Public Official Election Act if they would like to apply for candidacy for the general elections. In the meantime, there will be a major reshuffle undertaken by the top office at diplomatic and national security posts, with changes being made as soon as Monday. According to an official, some posts won't be changed, but candidates are being reviewed for certain posts. According to reports, this includes the Foreign Affairs Minister and National Security Advisor, as the current advisor Cho Tae-yong may be nominated to fill up the vacancy as leader of the National Intelligence Service. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
On the economic front, South Korea and China have decided to activate a bilateral hotline to stably manage supply chain issues. The Industry Ministry on Monday said that working-level talks were held today in Seoul for the very first time. The two countries agreed to activate the supply chain hotline, which was previously set up by working-level officials. They also discussed ways to address pending supply chain issues, including issues surrounding the supply of urea. South Korea has been pushing to secure more stockpiles of urea after China recently suspended its urea exports amid tight domestic supplies. The number of employed foreign nationals in South Korea reached a record 923,000 as of May this year, up 9.5% from a year earlier. According to an official from Statistics Korea on Monday, this was largely driven by a rise in unskilled workers on E9 visas and international students gaining employment after South Korea entered the endemic phase. More than half were under 30 years old, and around half earned a monthly average income of around 2 million won, or around $1,500. The number of foreign residents aged 15 or above rose nearly 10% on year, also reaching a new high. Over in the Middle East, the Israeli army says it has discovered the biggest Hamas tunnel in the Gaza Strip so far. In the meantime, a second border crossing into Gaza has opened for humanitarian aid. Our Chung Eun-ju has the latest.
The Israeli Defense Forces said Sunday it had discovered the biggest Hamas tunnel in the Gaza Strip so far. The entrance to the tunnel is located a few hundred meters from the heavily fortified Erez crossing and a nearby Israeli military base. Israel's chief military spokesperson Daniel Hagari put the full length of the tunnel at 4 kilometers. The military noted that the tunnel ran diagonally downward to a depth of 50 meters, where it expanded to a relatively capacious 3 meters in height and width. It had electrical fixtures and was connected to a sprawling tunnel network across Gaza. The IDF said it would have cost millions of dollars and taken years to construct, adding that the project was led by the brother of the Hamas chief. Disabling underground passages and bunkers is among the aims of the offensive Israel launched after Hamas's October 7th attacks. Meanwhile, a Palestinian border official confirmed that the Kerem Shalom crossing between Israel and Gaza opened on Sunday for aid trucks to enter the Strip for the first time since the outbreak of war. The move is intended to double the amount of food and medicine reaching the enclave. The official said part of the aid had arrived in Gaza by Sunday night, while the rest would be there on Monday. The Kerem Shalom crossing had been closed after the October 7th attack by Hamas. Since then, aid has been delivered solely through Gaza's Rafah crossing with Egypt, which Israel said could only accommodate the entry of 100 trucks per day. Kerem Shalom, on the border of Egypt, Israel, and Gaza, is one of the main transit points for goods in and out of the Palestinian enclave, allowing for much faster transit than the Rafah passenger crossing a few kilometers away. Israel approved the entry of aid last week as the United Nations and other world bodies have been increasingly warning of the worsening humanitarian situation in Gaza. Chung Eun-ju, Arirang News.
Back here in South Korea, a Novavax vaccine targeting the XBB variant will be available from today. That's according to the Korea Disease Control and Prevention Agency. The Novavax vaccine, unlike Moderna and Pfizer, is developed using genetic recombination technology, similar to influenza vaccines. Individuals aged 65 or above who may have either experienced side effects from previous vaccines or are advised not to have them due to existing health conditions are recommended to consider taking the Novavax vaccine. In the meantime, 9,600 doses of the new Pfizer COVID-19 XBB.1.5 vaccine for infants and children arrived on Monday. Reservations begin on December 26th, and the vaccine is free nationwide starting from January 8th next year. With the 2024 Gwanghwamun Winter Youth Olympics set to take place in about a month, much is being done here to ensure a safe and successful hosting of the event. Our Shin Se-byuk takes a look.
South Korea is pulling out all the stops to ensure a safe and successful hosting of the 2024 Gwanghwamun Winter Youth Olympics just a month away. Relevant government officials and members of the ruling People Power Party met on Monday and analyzed the work underway for the Games, stressing the significance of thorough preparation.
To quickly address on-site needs, we've set up a command centre. We've also assigned general managers for each venue to better manage on-site situations.
Safety remains the biggest concern. That being said, some 250 medical personnel will be deployed at 13 locations, including the Athletes Village and competition venues. The command center will run an on-site response team for infectious diseases and implement a crowd control system to respond to all potential challenges. The organizer also vowed to tackle all conceivable issues ranging from freezing conditions to even bed bugs. With regards to culture, a diverse array of programs has been curated, featuring events such as a DJ skate night, lessons from Olympians, and snow tube riding. Culture Minister Yoon shared plans for on-air programs and YouTube videos showcasing the global sports event. For the convenience of athletes and spectators, 150 free shuttle buses will connect major transportation hubs in host cities and sports venues. From January 19th, around 1,900 athletes will participate in the 2024 Winter Youth Olympics for 2 weeks in Gangwon Province, the first time the event is being held in Asia. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
Even the cold weather can't stop the year-end vibes here in Seoul. The annual Seoul Winter Festa has officially kicked off and has turned on its lights for the season's festivities. Our Choi Soo-young went to see for herself.
A lightning ceremony is brightening up the winter nights in downtown Seoul. Gwanghwamun Square is illuminated with lights for Christmas and New Year. The 15th Seoul Winter Festa opened on Friday, December 15th. Sculptures such as the Blue Dragon, representing the coming year, and the turtle ship of Korean Admiral Lee Sun-shin fill the square. The media art exhibition Seoul Light, which colored Dongdaemun Digital Plaza last fall, is being shown onto Gyeongbokgung Palace's walls. A Christmas market, inspired by Europe, has also been set up. With 83 booths, nearly twice as many as last year, you can enjoy traditional Korean craft items, products, and street food.
I think it's pretty similar. Usually they're, especially in northern Italy, they're a bit bigger maybe, and they sell local products and lots of artisanal things. But I guess like the vibe is the same with Christmas lights and wooden cabins.
That's right. Maybe in Italy there's more food oriented. Yeah, because the food is really big in Italy, big thing. So here, but I can see a lot of artisan things too. So it's kind of similar. Like it's good vibe and Christmas vibe is really nice.
The nearby Cheonggyecheon stream also sparkles brightly with the theme of White Night in Seoul.
I came for a trip and suddenly found a beautiful place. I felt really happy and the Christmas vibes make it even better. There are lots of things here that people seem to enjoy and I like.
The highlight of the Seoul Winter Festa is the countdown event on the last day of the year. This year, simultaneous events will take place at Posinggak Pavilion, Gwanghwamun Square, and Dongdaemun Design Plaza for people from around the world to enjoy together. The festa will run until January 21st. Seoul City plans to make Gwanghwamun Square a world-famous countdown spot like New York's Times Square or the Sydney Opera House. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News.
A team of Korean researchers has taken the development of a new energy-generating technology to the next level. Scientists have said that energy that goes to waste from heat and vibration falls short of practical use. But now there may be a way to amplify the wasted energy to generate power. Our Yoon has the details.
When a car engine is started, there is vibration on the hood of the car, as well as rise in its surface temperature, up to 60 degrees Celsius. This is where scientists have discovered wasted energy and are now looking to develop technology to harvest such energy that goes to waste. Until recently, energy from the vibrations and the heat were measured separately and not deemed efficient enough to be a power source. But a team of Korean researchers have now succeeded in designing a hybrid energy harvester that combines piezoelectricity and thermoelectricity, resulting in a higher final power generation. Attaching a brass plate onto the surface of the heated surface increases available thermoelectricity. The brass cantilever creates additional energy as its unattached end vibrates, which is the piezoelectricity. And the resulting amplified energy from both the heat and vibration is nearly twofold.
The energy is not simply 1 + 1 = 2, it's actually lower. But when we build an integrated system, the combination of the thermal and piezoelectric energy doubles its output.
The electrical energy produced simply from the hood of a running car is enough to operate the location tracking sensor of a smartphone GPS.
The significance in the hybrid energy harvester that we've developed is that electric energy can be converted from energy that otherwise goes to waste in our daily lives.
This is the first successful hybrid energy harvest, where gathered waste energy from heat and vibration was able to successfully charge wireless electronics like a smartphone. Though still in its development stage, the team of South Korean researchers have taken the discovery to the next level, as introduced in the international scientific journal Energy Conservation and Management. 이은진, Arirang News.
Even when the temperatures rise the most parts of the country will remain below freezing, as cold wave warnings have been issued in Gyeonggi-do and Gangwon-do provinces. Seoul will start the morning at -7 degrees Celsius, which will be slightly higher than today, but still be freezing cold. In addition, there is a snow forecast, mainly in the western parts of the country tomorrow. Jeju Island and the coastlines of the Jeollado provinces are expected to have snow from tonight. Also, the central parts of the country will have snow forecasts from tomorrow afternoon. The expected amount of snow is up to 15 centimeters in the mountainous areas of Jeju Island and 1 to 7 in the Seoul metropolitan area. The western parts of the country will have frequent snow news until late in the week. Most regions will be under icy cold temperatures. Seoul will start at -7. Maximum temperatures in Seoul will reach only 2 degrees. Gwangju and Daegu, 6 degrees Celsius. On Thursday, lows in Seoul will plunge to -14 degrees, with the coldest weather expected this winter. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That brings an end to this edition of Newscast. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 10 p.m. with our AI headline news. Good night.